everyone, it's Jen here and welcome to Jen's Wild About Art. So today I'm going to be doing a picture for you in acrylic of two deer having a fight. So they're basically headbutting each other. So I start off by drawing the outlines of both deer in my mechanical pencil. And yeah, I've got them basically facing each other, headbutting each other. And I fiddle around till I get the perspective and the proportions right, and then I will start with the acrylics. So I start with the background and I go in with a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of white and a little bit of chromium green, and I make a very pale greeny brown background, and I take that completely around the whole painting. Now I start on the deer and I actually use a little bit of burnt sienna and I add some white, and it sort of comes out this pinky brown colour, but it's the base layer. I will build it up with layers of darker colours and shadows and highlights as I go, but I just start to block it in now. And as you can see, I've drawn in all the spots, but I actually paint over them. I drew them in to give me an idea of where I want things, and then now I've sort of got it in my mind, and I will paint those in as white spots towards the end of the painting. So I'm starting to darken up again. I add another layer, and this time I've got more burnt sienna, less white, and I start to add darker areas, and I build up the layers as I go, like getting slightly darker each time, and I build up the shadows and the tonal values in both deer. And for the antlers, I use graphite grey and white, and put some highlights and shadows as I go. So now you can see I'm adding a little bit actually of burnt sienna to both the deer's antlers, and then I start on the second deer, and I start with a bit of burnt sienna, a bit of white slightly thicker than the first layer. So I build up a couple of layers of the browns on both deer. Now I add the eyes and the noses in, and I can start to add a little bit of fur texture and a little bit of the darkest darks. So where the first deer's face is in shadow because it's butting up against the second deer, I darken up his face, and then I start to add a few dark areas around his chest, around the front of his legs, and around his stomach. And I'm using brown iron oxide for that. I was going to say burnt umber, but I'm actually using brown iron oxide, and I take that around anywhere that's the darkest sort of colours on him. And then I start to darken up the neck because that's in shadow. And I add a little bit of transparent red iron oxide just for a bit of warmth in different areas on the deer. And I add a strong shadow colour, like where the head is directly touching the other deer's head, and just under anywhere that's the darkest, so under his front legs. And then I start to add a little bit of titanium white around the spots on his body. And I repeat the process on the smaller deer, just building up the layers, building from light to dark, and then I'll add the spots on him as well. Now I start to add grass texture, and I realise I haven't done the dots on the smaller deer, so I add the spots on him, and then I will go back to doing the grass. So yeah, I finish those off and get some more dark shadows on the antlers. And some highlights around his face. And then I go back to the grass. So I add some grass texture in, just to begin with, just light lines in an upward direction to create what looks like long grass at the front. And then I go over with the watery mix of chromium oxide green and a little bit of white, and I take the same mixture as the very first one but a slightly bit thicker, and then I take that all around underneath the deer, and I take that around and up both sides of the painting. I think it creates a nice effect. And then I just mix up a few different values. I use a little bit of sap green, a little bit of chromium oxide green, a little bit of white, and I mix it up just to create varying tones of green throughout the painting. So I'm getting into the final details now. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'd love it if you click like and subscribe and click on the bell icon. That way you'll be notified when I release a new video. I also live stream on Twitch up to 7 days a week where I create all these pieces in real time, and I love to have a chat and a laugh while I'm working. I'd love it if you'd follow over there. I'll have all the links listed below, and I'll also have links to my Instagram and my Twitter. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you next video. Okie doke. Bye.